Okay, so for this video, all I want you to do is download some code that I've written for you and follow along on the video. I'm just going to give you a set of tools and examples. You don't have to actually type anything out. I just want you to watch it on your machine and see how you can use these tools, and then realize that you're going to have it saved. You'll have a reference you can get or go to at any time to be able to adapt it to whatever code you're actually writing. So that being said, I've posted it here. It's just go to our class, go to home, and then scroll down to, I put it on the end of week 3, click on the LCD 2024. I might change that date, but the LCD one. Okay. And at the very bottom, of course, you're probably already into this, but at the very bottom there's a chunk of code. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all this code. It's a long one. And I'm going to go now and I'm going to paste it into a new sketch. Now I've already got a new sketch here. You just go ahead and go File, New. And then we're going to select all of this. We're going to paste right over it. And then once you save as, and call it something like, LCD demos. Okay, and this will give you lots of techniques. And I'll save that there. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the loop. And the loop has got 7 different examples, and I'll kind of quickly go through them. If we look at the very first one, and I upload it, what you're going to see on the LCD, let me switch cameras here. There we go. Is it's going to show you the positions that are designated. Oh, that was actually just, I'm sorry, that was a repeat of the first one. We don't need to do that one. Okay, hold on a second. Let's go back to our code. Let's go straight to example 2. And we'll upload it. Alright. Now example 2 is just demonstrating where the columns and rows are. And here you can see it uploading. So for example, up here, this is going to be the level 0, okay? And it's going to be column 0. So it started right there. This is column 0, L1, alright? Over here you can see it's going to start there, but that's because it's the 8th position of the 0 row. And then here you'll see it's at the 8th position of this row. And in code, that all happens. Let's take a look at example 2. Right here, that's that set cursor position. That tells it where to go before it starts printing. And it only designates the first position. It just follows naturally along after that. So we started on column 0, line 0, and that's exactly where it started to print it. Okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of how the set position, set cursor works. So let's go down to the next one. And in this case, maybe I'll talk a little bit about it first. Let's go to example 3. Example 2 is kind of long. So characters, this is different. Everything you've seen so far has been print. If you want to just put a single character out, it's a slightly different technique. It becomes important when we do custom characters. Character designates a single sort of letter or a single entity. Alright? So if I load this, it's not super exciting. Just be aware that in this particular case, it's actually going to, as soon as it gets done loading, there we go. You can see that in fact it's just printing a single character at a time. Again, not super exciting, but that's what it's actually doing. Okay? So let's go now to the next piece of code. We're going to go to example 4. So you do have the option of actually turning on and off the actual cursor. Okay? So you can either do no cursor or with cursor. Okay? So LCD cursor and no cursor. And if we run example 4, let me scroll that up. It take longer just scrolling than it is anything else. Alright, and we go to example 4. You'll be able to see it displayed here as soon as it loads. Okay, so this is with a cursor. Again, not super exciting, but it's interesting to note. And as soon as it gets done doing that a couple of times, it's going to do it without a cursor. And of course you can see there's no cursor. Okay, so a simple little change and you get rid of that cursor. It's easy to do. Let's look at the next sort of example. What is the next one? So it's going to be example 5. So let me comment that out. Let's pull that up. Scroll down to example 5. All right. Oh, you've seen this before. Sometimes you go to a store or whatever and the cursor is actually blinking. Sometimes it's not. So you can actually do that here as well. You can see it have it LCD blink or LCD no blink. So if I load this, you'll see a very familiar, I'm sure you've seen this before, some other application or something where you can set the cursor up to blink. And here we go. So here's a blinking cursor, lets you know where it's going. And then of course as soon as it finishes this, it'll switch to a no blink cursor. I guess I should probably, there we go, not blinking. So once again, simple, but if you want to use it to add some feature to your code, it's where it is. Let's go on down to the next one. Okay, so let me pull this up. And we'll go to our loop. Let's do example 6. I'm sorry. Let's see, which is 6. Okay, this one actually does have a lot of applications. If you want to make something scroll to the left or scroll to the right, you still have to put it in a loop, and what it does is every time you call it, it moves at one position. Okay, so I have scrolling display to the right, and I have scrolling display to the left. So if I upload this, you can see it's a relatively long display, and when it loads, this will show you what we get. That actually has a longer memory than 16, so this is going handy if you want to have something longer being said. And of course here you can see going left and going right. Okay, so you can type something really long, all right, and then simply have it scroll through if your message is too long. Okay, by the way, it looks much better here in real life than it does on the computer. I'm realizing this sort of lingering shadow effect is a little bit of a camera artifact. All right, so let's go to the next one. We'll go here, here, and I think it's the last one, if I'm not mistaken. We'll come up here to our loop, and we'll turn on example 7. And example 7 should be at the bottom down here. So we have the option of making an auto scroll. All right. So again, if you have something that's long, like for example in this particular case, I'm just having it type out to the number of 10 after it actually types some information. And when I load this, you'll see that if you don't use auto scroll, you don't get the whole picture. Okay, so as it loads, with auto scroll, you can see that it'll continue to move the display over and continue to output information. Without auto scroll, you never see it. You never see that loop. It ran. It went from 0 to 9 or 10 or whatever it is I have it set for, but you actually never saw it because you don't have auto scroll on. Okay, so at any rate, these are all just tools. They're handy. They're there for you. So if you want to add some extra features, if you want to have it say something that's longer than 16 characters long, now you know where you can find those tools and find an example for it. So hopefully you'll find this useful, and I'll have that code posted on the page, so you just have to copy and paste the section you need. That being said, I will see you all again soon.